Hello everyone, my name is Amy Taylor and I'm the Learning Engagement Manager at London Metropolitan Archives. And a very warm welcome to this, our celebration event for the end of the Haringey Vanguard Project and the online launch for our exhibition, We Have Always Been Here.
Hi, it's Veronica here. I'm so thrilled to have so many of you tune in. I think it's well over 300 people. And I think that's because it's such an exciting project and it's really hit the public. Lots of people interested in it. So whilst we're on, please, feel free to go into the chat, exchange information with each other and make comments. And it's not the same as being live. We thought we were going to be in an exhibition space of, so we can have a drink with everybody. And sadly, we can't do that, hopefully next year. So we look forward to sharing, the outcome of the project and a little sneak peek of our exhibition soon.
Thanks, Veronica. Yeah, as Veronica said, we'd love to be with you all with a drink in our hands, but tonight's going to be great. So on that note, I would really like to encourage you, as Veronica said, to use the chat function and try and get some conversation going and get a buzz around this evening. We're really looking forward to reading those comments later, so please do chat away. And so to officially kick off this evening, I would like to introduce our special guest. This is the Mayor of Haringey, Councillor Adam Jokey, and he's going to say a few words to launch our event this evening. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Amy, and it's good to be with all of you. And good evening. My name is Adam Jokey, and I'm the Mayor of Haringey. And I'm delighted, can I just say, to ad lib before I speak, that Veronica will get the first round in the next time we can all meet in person. The keenness for a drink clearly means that she's taken the first shot, and I will happily get the second. It's a huge pleasure for me to welcome you, albeit virtually, to Haringey tonight. And a very warm welcome to all of you who have joined us here online this evening. Under usual circumstances, we would of course been together at the beautiful Bruce Castle Museum and Archive in Tottenham to mark the end of Haringey Vanguard's 2-year project to celebrate its legacy and to enjoy this wonderful event. I hope as Mayor to welcome you all to Haringey before too long and in person. And despite the virtual world we live in, I'm delighted we've been still able to gather tonight. And as Mayor, I want to say thank you to all those involved in making this evening possible, and to acknowledge the hard work of those we will see on screen this evening, and of course, and importantly, those we won't see, those behind the scenes. With so many people joining us, I'm delighted at the overwhelming feeling of community and togetherness that this event has generated. As we shall hear later, the Haringey Vanguard Project has been all about community, our community. As an important flagship heritage project, Vanguard has set about making visible the histories of our BAME LGBTQ+ communities here in Haringey. It has raised awareness of the need to record personal experiences, to hear firsthand the testimonies, feelings, struggles, experiences, and voices from those online. And for all of us to find out how it was back then, as we learn from past struggles, difficulties and hardships, and the strength it took to fight and overcome them. We will see tonight that what seems insignificant and throwaway, like flyers, programs, posters, these days, tweets and Facebook about campaigns and activism, has ended up on the Haringey Vanguard Project, becoming significant and precious. The key components, can I say, as a political campaigner myself, of any successful campaign. Being collected, they now form the core of an inspirational and very powerful, and think about that, very powerful archive, which documents and preserves the hidden and the overlooked. They tell us stories of our BAME LGBTQ+ communities, stories that deserve to be told, retold, 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 and shared once again, now and always. These are histories that are not only interesting, but they're invaluable for research, not just now, but for the future, helping us in finding out about our past and helping shape our future. Many different people have contributed to Vanguard, and I, as Mayor, thank you all for your contributions. On behalf of the good, and I say good in every sense, people of Haringey, I would like to convey our thanks to one special person, Veronica Mackenzie, the person who's getting our first round when we can all meet in person. Because it was her idea to start collecting for this archive project in the first place. Thank you, Veronica, for being so inspired and for dedicating your expertise to this fantastic, important, timely, and long-lasting work. And lastly, because you haven't come here to listen to a politician speak, it gives me great pleasure to launch this event, and I look forward to joining you all in hearing more about the Vanguard Project and the film coming up next, as we acknowledge we have always been here. Thank you.
My name is Veronica Mackenzie. I'm the Community Engagement Lead for Haringey Vanguard. Haringey Vanguard is a BAME LGBTQ history project. It was a 2-year project funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund, working in partnership with the London Metropolitan Archives and Bruce Castle Museum. We collected over 40 oral histories from activists from the 1970s to 1990s. We also collected flyers, ephemera leaflets, which were brought to the LMA here, catalogued, conserved and digitised. And that will form part of the collection that goes to Bruce Castle Museum, and that will be the permanent home. Haringey Vanguard came about because I'd been doing some research into BAME LGBTQ history and speaking to activists who were around in the 70s to the 90s, and I realised that a lot of the stuff came out of Haringey in terms of the political actions, in terms of the progress that was made around LGBTQ policies, and I felt like this really needed to be catalogued and preserved.
I'm Julie Melrose. I'm the archivist at Bruce Castle Museum and Archive here in Haringey. My role here as the archivist for Haringey is to look after the collections that we hold here and make sure that they're as accessible to the public and to researchers as possible. One
of the most important aspects of the Haringey Vanguard project was our community outreach. So we'd meet people at Pride marches, we'd have stalls, we'd run events, and we'd ask them to look at the materials they had at home to see if they had anything that they could donate to the collection. The material that we collected came from a wide variety of sources. So we got materials from club promoters, from activists, from people who lived in Haringey, from people who worked in Haringey, and that makes for a really, really rich archive, which I'm really happy that it's been deposited at Bruce Castle Museum.
The Vanguard collection's fantastic. It has a wide range of items, and they range from flyers, posters, through to badges, t-shirts, banners. Just a real sort of wonderful collection of a very special time in history. Some of my favourite items in the Haringey Vanguard collections are the badges that we have. And badges are a fantastic representation of particular events, of activism, of people's identity. So these two badges, Smash the Backlash and Haringey Against Clause 28, are little visual representations of two very significant protests at the time in the late 80s.
So this is one of my favourite pieces from the Haringey Vanguard collection. It's a flyer that was produced in the 80s, and it says "not another benefit," and that's really important because there were so many benefits happening at that time and fundraising, and this is for the Black Lesbian and Gay Centre project. It's interesting because there's an all-female sound system and an all-female vocal group, and this really encapsulates what was happening in the BAME LGBT community in the mid-80s.
The people that would be interested in this collection are people that are interested in the subject matter, but also about sort of social history, what was going on in Haringey at the time. So anyone that wanted to access the collection for research is very welcome to come in. We just ask they make an appointment, but we have a search room and we hold the physical collection there of the archives, but we also will have access to the digital collection as well. So the oral histories and the digitised material will be accessible there. If anyone has anything that they'd like to donate to the collection to add to the Haringey Vanguard archive, we'd be very happy to hear from them.
The Haringey Vanguard collection is a living archive, and it's a really important resource for taking a look at BME LGBTQ history in Haringey, but also looking at the wider socio-political movements across the UK at that particular time.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed that little video that just was a short intro into some of the work that we've done over the last 3 years nearly with a COVID project extension. And it was really nice just being able to see that and being reminded of everything that we've managed to achieve over the project. Veronica, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I think it was just so interesting how we work together in partnerships. So should we bring on Deborah?
Yes, hello everybody.
Hi.
Yes, hi, I'm Deborah Hedgecock and I'm the curator at Bruce Castle. How's it going? Good so far? So yes, I mean we've had a wonderful journey, I think, with the Haringey Vanguard Project, and we've had opportunities along the way, along that journey, making new connections and connecting with people that have created these new archives and the oral histories. But what I've particularly liked along the way has been the creative ways we've managed to engage and bring the whole project to life. And one of those was joining up with the Art of the Gestetner project, if you remember.
Yes.
We ended up joining up with the lottery-funded Art of the Gestetner project, where we had the opportunity to work with an artist to actually use a Gestetner machine that was made in Tottenham and to actually recreate those flyers. So
that was amazing. Yeah, well, our volunteers, who are fabulous, our volunteers really, we ran a lot of workshops because it's really a key part of the project to engage with, younger people, researchers. And so the Gestetner machine, God, it freaks a lot of people out because what is it? It's like, how does it work? And it was really kind of like hands-on to reproduce some of those flyers and leaflets from the 80s. But one of the things that I found very interesting is actually working with the LMA in Bruce Castle was a really good way to kind of, because I've been doing this work since about 2012, I'd actually been starting to collect oral histories, but in a really informal way, not really kind of knowing what I was doing. And then that led to a documentary, and then meeting Jan Pimblett, who I hope she's watching, because I've got to give her a big shout out. She's an amazing, supportive person. And then she kind of, got me working with the LMA and with Bruce Castle, so it made it more formal. So having a partnership with LMA and Bruce Castle has been a really fantastic way to formalise some of the work that I was doing. And it was a learning curve for me to kind of see how much goes into actually cataloguing and logging, the work that, that we've been collecting. And Amy as well, from LMA's point of view.
Jan is watching. I'm multitasking. I've got one eye on the live stream, and I've seen that she said how amazing Veronica is. So hi Jan, we know you're there. And a big thank you to her for kind of kicking this project off. I've kind of picked it up and done the kind of midway through and the run to the end, and it's been really amazing for me to work with V and with Deborah. The project has just been kind of so inspiring from start to finish, and one of my biggest memories is kind of hopping along to Pride and having a stall at Pride, and just spending that time talking to people, perhaps to a younger generation who just really don't know this history, and being able to have that dialogue with people and really kind of spread the word about the importance of it. So for me, that's been one of the kind of most exciting parts of the project.
And also the conference at LMA as well. The annual conference that has been part of LMA for a great number of years, but to have that opportunity to actually be the focus for a whole conference has been, I mean, the programming you did was amazing, and the opportunity to hear those different projects and talks, and it's a great way, if no one's ever been to it before, please do go, because the opportunities to network and meet new people was great.
Which just goes to show that the interest in oral histories and BME LGBTQ history is really exploding. you know what I mean? And that's one of the most joyous things to see, that like, loads of people are now going off and doing their own research and using archives and kind of delving deeper. So that's been one of the most interesting things as well. It's kind of like, everyone's like, I want to look into this history and I want to find something that kind of resonates with me. So,
and I think that's the perfect moment to wrap up on this little section. We will be back. We've got some more chatting to do in between videos, but now we're just going to hear from a few of our key supporters on this project. Thanks, Deborah. Thanks, Veronica.
Hi, it's David Lammy here, and I want to thank and encourage everyone at Haringey Vanguard as they launch this new archive. I just want to remind you that as I stand here as a man of colour, and that so many people across the world who have LGBTQ backgrounds, or who are women, or indeed who are working class, we all begun the 20th century unable to be who we want to be in our own lifetime. And it's because of great men and women, people like Martin Luther King, people like Harvey Milk, people like Emmeline Pankhurst, that we got those rights that we fought for. I'm so proud that in Haringey, we have been pioneers and leaders in that fight for LGBTQ rights. We've never given up. Haringey, when issues were being vilified right across the national media, we were there campaigning and marching, and this archive is testimony to that truth and to that history. And there are young people growing up in our community and communities across this country who can be proud of who they are as a consequence of that struggle. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I will do all I can to remind people of this resource and that history and that record. Keep going.
Hello, my name is Councillor Mark Blake. I'm Haringey Council's Cabinet Member for Communities. Haringey Council is proud to support Haringey Vanguard, a community heritage project exploring and recording the history of the borough's Black, Asian minority, ethnic, LGBTQ+ community between the 1970s and 1990s. Funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund, it is a partnership project between Haringey Council's Archive and Museum Service and London Metropolitan Archives. The project brings to light and gives voice to the individuals and organisations who were key to the social movements and campaigns fighting for social justice, equality and their human rights as BAME LGBTQ+ communities throughout Haringey in the 1970s and through to the 1990s. 40 oral histories were recorded from key individuals, talking about the strength of the Haringey communities they were part of, their personal and collective struggles and the protests they went on while fighting for their rights. Alongside the oral histories, archive collections were deposited at Bruce Castle, reflecting and illustrating the histories of activism and community cohesion through personal photographs and memorabilia. The oral histories and archive will be available for public research through the new Haringey Vanguard website and in Bruce Castle's search room. This is an internationally significant and contemporary archive and oral history collection, providing a powerful and necessary counterpoint to formal records. It represents an important part of Haringey's rich and varied LGBTQ+ history and the borough's proud history of social activism. Working closely with participants, volunteers and stakeholders, the project has provided opportunities for Haringey Archives and Museum Service and the LMA to work more closely and develop relationships with existing and new BAME LGBTQ+ groups. On behalf of Haringey Council, I would like to thank all the participants who shared their stories and archives, the volunteers who helped capture their memories, and project staff at London Metropolitan Archives for all their hard work. The fight for equality, recognition and understanding continues, but in order to address these present-day challenges, a greater understanding of our past is required. And Haringey Vanguard, I think, makes a crucial contribution to that. Many thanks.
Hi, so we've got some of the volunteers that works with us on the project. So I thought it'd be nice for us to kind of hear from them in terms of what they got out of it. So we've got Akia, we've got Anissa, and we've got Rachel. Would you want to say hi? And just let's talk about you know, how you came to the project and how you found it?
Should I go first?
Rachel, you go first.
Okay, amazing. I can't really remember how I found how I heard about the project, but I found it like really amazing, like an amazing opportunity to have like really interesting like intergenerational conversations with like elders. I thought it was a really great experience, like learning how to properly interview, how to like transcribe, and also because I helped out on the social media for the LGBT conference at the end of 2019. It was just like an all-round like incredible experience, and yeah, and I feel like it's such a worthwhile project and such a amazing project to see that it's been run by Black and brown people as well. So yeah, that's what I got out of it.
Brilliant. And Anissa, you were at the very first tea party that we hosted when we launched the project at Bruce Castle Museum.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think from that kind of first session, I was very kind of intrigued on what kind of the project would entail. So yeah, I kind of grew up in Tottenham, and didn't really learn anything about LGBT history or the important role that people of colour in Haringey played in that. And so for me, helping in transcribing the interviews and learning about that was very personally affirming.
Brilliant, thank you. And Akia was one of the ones who came to the guest techno workshop as well and got your hands dirty. But you've also produced a piece of art that's going to be in the exhibition, which you produced for our Pride campaign. Do you want to talk a little bit about your involvement in the project? Because you've also been there since day one as well.
Yeah, so I got introduced to the project by Anissa, and yeah, I also grew up in Haringey, and I never learned anything about LGBT history in Haringey, especially for like people of colour, and not having come out to like my family, I didn't really have anyone who was older to talk to, and by coming to this project and volunteering, I met so many older LGBTQ people, and it just made me feel like I wasn't alone, and kind of, I don't know, it was just the sense of community that I really needed. And yeah, so it was very, I don't know, reassuring for me.
And you mentioned learning how to transcribe and learning how to interview. Because I remember we did a couple of workshops where you learned how to role play as well. Did you find that useful in your kind of like everyday life?
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know, it's such a useful skill to have, and I do want to continue doing this sort of voluntary work from like, well, after this project, because I do think it's important to continue recording these histories, even if it's, you know, informally. So yeah.
And Rachel, you've gone on to you're working at magazine now, aren't you? I know you're kind of big in marketing and data.
Yeah, I didn't even know you.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to mention was I had an amazing opportunity to also like interview Veronica, and wrote an article about like what Veronica was doing for the project, and just an article that like illustrates the amazing stories that we can find in the archive. So I think this project has given me like an amazing opportunity to like dip into like editorial, because the article was published for Gaudem earlier this month. So it's just been an amazing project, like all round, for me and for everyone involved too.
And you know what was really interesting for me as well is because, you know, obviously I'm older, you know, I'm one of the elders now. Like whenever people say that, I just kind of hate it. But anyway, I've got to embrace it. Right? So I'm one of the elders. I remember being in my 20s and being out and all of that. But it's been so nice to actually be in conversation with younger people, do you know what I mean, about this history? Because I've learned so much, you know, from you guys in terms of, you know, when you were talking about social media and the way you were looking at things, you know, so I've actually learned so much from being part of this. you know, and I just think that it's, you know, I'm really kind of happy that you kind of came along and, you know, threw yourself into it. You know, those Sundays at Bruce Castle Museum when there was no heating, you know. Anissa, I think you suffered a few times, didn't you, with the, you know, the lack of heating and stuff. So I just thank you for your commitment to the project. And I think we'll take a sneak preview of the exhibition. So let's have a look at that. Thank you.
So it's all these groups that started to appear around that period, which were lesbian and gay people saying, but I'm not just this.
Those that were out and about those days, I take my hat off to them. I think they're the bravest people ever.
The law changed in '67 to make gay male sex not a crime, but it was in private. It had to be over 21.
I was really struggling what to wear. I didn't know if I should wear makeup. Do lesbians wear skirts?
We used to go to the Flower Pot pub that was on St Anne's Road in Tottenham. It was just like really diverse, really good music.
I'm glad a project like this is kind of introducing a way forward for us to be able to tell our story, whether good or bad, whether playful or otherwise.
So that's a little preview of the exhibition. I can't wait until people can actually get into the space. For the exhibition, we commissioned that beautiful artwork from Catherine Morton Abua. And then the other piece that was in the window was Akia, one of our volunteers. And that was a piece that was done for Pride a couple of years ago. So I would just like to talk about what it was like working with someone who donated, you know, gave their oral history. So I'm just going to say hi to Dennis Carney. He was one of the people who gave his oral history, and just to find out in terms of, you know, why it was important to give your oral history.
Yeah, thanks, Veronica, and thank you for inviting me to this amazing event. Thank you. Well, I guess when I think about why I decided to participate in the project, kind of reminds me of when I was around 16 years of age, and I went into my local library to find out what homosexuality meant, because I think I'd had my first gay experience when I was around 16. And I will never forget the fact that I couldn't find anything positive about being gay. All I could find were books that said I was a paedophile, I had a mental health problem, I was sick, perverted. And I never forget walking out of that library feeling completely confused about my identity. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I joined the project when I think about it, because that experience led me to join BLGC, the Black Lesbian and Gay Centre Project. And I think it's through my work there that I realised the importance of documenting our histories and our stories, because back then in the mid-80s, our stories and our voices were not heard and were not seen. And so I think it's really important when we're living in a world of legalized gay marriage, for example. And whenever I hear myself say that, I can't believe it. When I was a kid, the idea that two men or two women would be able to marry and that would be recognized legally was just totally inconceivable. So, but I think when I think about the last 40 years, I think about the LGBTQ community and its history. I think often the stories of BME LGBTQ people are hidden and often not shared. So I think for me, it was really important that that period of history is shared and known.
What would you say about the, because a lot is put out on social media now. There's a lot of, you know, people tweet and people put stuff out on digital form, but they're not kind of preserving it. What would you say around, you know, that kind of like way of, you know, people are active online, but it's not being preserved?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I don't think I've ever posted a picture of myself online, but if you type my name, all of a sudden, all these pictures are popping up of me. And so, so I think there is a record of our existence online, is what I want to say. And, you know, I think if I think back to that time when I went to the library to try and find out what it meant to be gay, and in my hand, you know, I can type all that and find it. And in the process of doing that, not feel alone and also feel a part of a wider community. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for, you know, all the work that you've been doing over the last 40 years, like you said, 35 years, you're not that old, 35 years, all the activism. And your oral history is actually in the archive, which is going to be held at Bruce Castle Museum for posterity. So if anyone wants to listen to Dennis's, you know, kind of life story, it will be there. Thank you. And so in terms of the exhibition that you've had the little sneak preview, I'd like to talk to Julie just about, you know, actually mounting an exhibition during COVID in a listed building with very, very short lead time. So, yeah, Julie, can you talk about your experiences of trying to kind of get this exhibition up and what we went through?
Sure, sure. Hello, I'm Julie Melrose. I'm the archivist at Bruce Castle. And yes, Veronica and I, and Beverly, had a very busy week or so to put the exhibition together. I'll talk about when we'll be able to get in and actually physically get to the museum a bit later. But anyone that knows Bruce Castle and those of you that don't, it's an amazing Grade 1 listed building, which brings with it certain restrictions on what you can do and what you can't do. So I think Veronica, in her curation, came up with some fantastic sort of sets in a way that we're not allowed to drill into walls or anything like that. So we have to be very sort of adaptable in how we exhibit things in ways that perhaps wouldn't be necessary in a purpose-built gallery or museum. So yeah, it certainly had its challenges, but I think the results, if you as you saw in the preview, it was looking amazing with the listening tree and the certain corners that you can go to for certain things. It was really well done. If I can, I'd like to just sort of talk about the collections that we'll be holding at Bruce Castle, and sort of following on from Dennis and his oral histories, and just how important these oral histories, along with the whole archive collection, are to us at Bruce Castle, and as a repository for the London Borough of Haringey. And these oral histories are significant, important internationally, I think, because as a sort of whole, they give such a big picture. And it's voiced people and communities that are incredibly are underrepresented in public
archives. And so we're just so grateful that people like Dennis have allowed us to have in our collections their life stories. And I'd like to sort of say that it's not just about the struggles and the fighting for equality and social justice. There's such sort of wonderful stories about positiveness and communities coming together that I think are really, really inspiring for everyone, whatever the reason that you want to come and listen to these. I think you'll come away with something really, really affirmative and affirming as well. So we're just so pleased to have it all with us at Bruce Castle. And I'm just really, really excited. So part of my role, and I know I'm quite privileged in this, is that I get to sort of manage or help people access the collections. And through that, I get to see what people use them for and what research they're looking at, but also the amazing sort of creativity that people can use them for. So the artwork that Catherine did, the soundscapes that we will hear later on from Show. It's amazing what people will use these for, and I'm just really excited about the prospect of sort of what people will be coming to Bruce Castle, what they'll be able to do with this collection, because it's quite inspiring, I think.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the younger generation, particularly how they use, these materials and this, these archives and oral histories. Thank you, Julie. It's been lovely working with you. And it's lovely working. Yeah, it's been great. So I think we're going to go now to our next video. So we're going to hear from some more of our partners. So let's take a listen.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the National Lottery Heritage Fund, I'm delighted to join the Haringey Vanguard End of Project celebration, which is a fitting conclusion to LGBT+ History Month. Thanks to National Lottery players, the Heritage Fund has been pleased to offer a grant which has helped to bring to life the history from the 1970s to the 1990s of Haringey's LGBTQ BAME community. I'd like to salute Haringey Archive and Museum Service as well as London Metropolitan Archives for their achievement in such a difficult year. In choosing to support Haringey Vanguard, we identified a number of fantastic opportunities offered by the project, including establishing a new accessible community collection of oral history and memorabilia, capturing the stories of the intersectional BAME LGBTQ community. And this has included gathering over 700 new archival items from personal collections. We've also been delighted to see the rich programme of activities, training and education opportunities offered through the project to engage new audiences. Projects such as Haringey Vanguard remind us preserving heritage is vital if we want to prevent our histories from being lost forever, particularly those histories and stories of underrepresented communities. This is why we want to invite all communities interested in exploring our diverse heritage to get in touch with our engagement team and apply to our National Lottery Grants for Heritage, which have recently reopened. So it only leaves me to say congratulations once again to everybody involved in the success of Haringey Vanguard.
Hello everyone, I'm Jeff Pick, I'm the Director of London Metropolitan Archives with the City of London Corporation, and I just wanted to say a few words about how Vanguard has been so very important for what we do here at LMA. And in fact, one of the most important things has been our partnership with Haringey, just to see how we as the Metropolitan Archive for London can work successfully and positively with one of our borough colleagues. And I think Vanguard is a really good example of what you can do, not just in this area, but in many, many other areas. How we can share the talents and experience and expertise that both archives, both organisations have to create something that is really positive for our communities and really positive for people who live and work in London. For LMA, it builds on about 20 years of active experience we've had in building our collections, working with communities, developing outreach, building schools programmes, but it's very important to create the voices of the last 20 to 30 years and the present generations, so that this will be not just kept, but used and interpreted and cherished for people in years to come. And really, I just wanted also to thank a number of our partners who've helped us in this. Obviously, our colleagues at Haringey, most recently Julie Melrose in the archive side, but also Veronica McKenzie, who has been an amazing ambassador for what we do and just a person who's made it work. For my colleagues at LMA, colleagues like our digital services team, Martha Keller who's worked on it, but also Amy Taylor and the engagement and learning team who really helped this project develop. And finally, I'd also like to thank the Lottery for their active support for this. Without them, we wouldn't have got this far. But with their, not just the funding, but with their support for what we're trying to do, I think we've got a fantastic piece of work that will just show not just what archives can do, but what they are doing in 2021 to make not just our archives much more representative of our whole communities in London, but actually archives themselves are safe spaces that everybody, whatever their background, whatever their work, whatever their interest in London, can see themselves, whether they're at LMA or at Haringey, they can see themselves there, because that's only to the benefit of what we're all trying to do in many areas across London.
Hi everyone again. Welcome back. So after those lovely words from Jeff, the director of LMA, we're now coming towards the end of our evening. Can you believe it? 45 minutes and all this years and months of work, and we're kind of wrapping up with the celebration event, but still more to come with the exhibition, and lots more coming your way from Haringey Vanguard. I will hand over to Julie to just tell you about how you can continue to get involved post the end of this evening. So Julie, over to you.
Thanks, Amy. I think the first port of call I would have for anyone would be to go to the website, and the link will be in the chat, and it will come up at the end of this program as well. And that will give you a really nice insight. It also gives some great oral history excerpts as well with some transcripts. And there's also a selection of the archive and ephemera collections as well. So it just gives a nice overall sort of picture of what the project is about. Now, to access the collections at Bruce Castle, we will have the search room available for researchers. All we ask is that you make an appointment. Unfortunately, obviously, we're in COVID time right now, in lockdown, but if we're sort of following government guidelines as they are at the moment, we're hoping to be able to open about the same time that libraries have been scheduled to open in mid-April. So that's our outlook at this stage, all things sort of following how they are at the moment. And as I said, it's a booking process. You just need to make contact with us, phone us up or email us, and we'll have a conversation with you and we'll book you in, and you can listen to the oral histories in Bruce Castle. You can access the physical material, and you'll be able to look at the digitized material as well. So it will all be there. Now for the exhibition, museums at the moment are a little bit delayed in opening as well. So that isn't till sort of mid-May. But we're holding the exhibition there for as long as we can, because we want as many people to come. So definitely throughout summer, maybe even into autumn, depending on how many people we can get in. So just keep looking at our social media, our website, and contact us, email us, whatever, and we'll keep you informed of what's happening. But obviously, we need to take into consideration COVID restrictions. Can I just say one more thing? This is an ongoing project. Anyone has anything related to what you've been looking at, please get in contact, because we'd love to keep adding to the collection. That's the end for me.
Definitely. And one of the things that we were really keen to do is get people to go into their, go into the loft, go into the attic or wherever you keep your papers, and see if you've got stuff from the 80s. And we're always kind of like, I mean, I've been up to Hull, I've been down to Brighton, on the hunt for materials, because we really think that this material is important, and it's also to preserve it properly for posterity. So I would just like to say, in terms of working on this project, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an eye-opening journey for me. I've learned so much. I've had so much support. But the number one reason I did this is because, having come out at a very young age myself and finding community and finding those spaces that were welcoming, to BAME LGBTQ people, finding other people like me, like us, was so important. And these spaces, these groups, they saved lives, and I cannot kind of overestimate, the importance of, documenting what people did, and the importance of, people that put themselves on the line. Do you know what I mean? They put themselves on the line fighting for LGBT rights. Do you know what I mean? So it's really important for me to kind of just document that and have that cemented in history. So when we talk about LGBTQ history, we never forget the part, that the BAME Black queer community played within that. And I just want everyone to really support that, look at the materials and come along to the exhibition. So because we can't shake a leg or anything together, we can't shake a foot or anything soon, I can't wait until we have to stop doing the elbow thing. God, that's kind of, tiring. I'm just going to now introduce our actor who's going to play us out. Her name is Sharika Shepherd, and she's amazing. So do listen in, and thank you so much for tuning in to our launch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, I hope you and your loved ones are well and you're having a great evening. My name is Sharika Sherrod, and I'm going to sing you a couple of songs. This first song I'm going to sing for you guys is called Lonely in a Crowded Room. And I basically wrote it at a time in my life where I was kind of stuck in a rut and just not feeling very grateful about all the things that I had in my life. And so, yeah, I wrote this song to tell me to shut up and be more grateful. No, 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 no. Sometimes I feel this life is never enough. So much love around me, but I'm stuck in a rut. No fame, no fortune, just a house in my name. Guess I never liked that bitter taste of champagne. Does it get easier? Am I just getting greedier? Damn, it's so hard needing something money can't buy. No, 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 I know I've only got myself to blame. Lonely in a crowded room. I'm sick of wasting my time forgetting what life has done for me, what it already did, yeah. Maybe I'll soon realize when it's been taken away from me. Lonely in a crowded room. No, 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 no. Na, 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 no, no, no. Some call it hunger, some say I'm out of touch. 'Cause I counted all my blessings, but it's never enough, no. I've been competing, comparing, oh, just to feel complete, knowing it's a waste of time. Does it get easier? Should I be blaming the media? Painting pictures, posting stories, feeding a lie. No, 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 I know I've only got myself to blame. Lonely in a crowded room. I'm sick of wasting my time forgetting what life has done for me, what it already did, yeah. Maybe I'll soon realize when it's been taken away from me.
This next song I'm going to sing for you guys is called Back from the Edge. And I wrote it at a time in my life where it's kind of like this gray area where it's not depression, but it's kind of like, you know, that you're kind of hiding away from your responsibilities and just living your life, really. And when I was going through this, I knew it wasn't depression because I was like, yeah, I've been through depression. It's definitely not that. And yeah, I think this song, I kind of wrote it to say, you know, just because you're not feeling that down doesn't mean that there isn't something that needs to be done. So yeah, that's what this song's about, and it's called Back from the Edge.
Lately, I've been thinking maybe I was wrong, thinking I'd get through this on my own. I know you try and reach me, I felt you anyway, hoping I'm okay. No, save me, 'cause I've been fighting demons for some time, and life has told me this will never change. It's never been a mystery. I've come to realize this pain will pave a way. Take my flame, keep it burning. Take my sword, I'll keep fighting. Keep the scars and all the years they never healed. Take my pain, I'll grab the wheel. Hey, I'm back from the edge, the edge, the edge. I'm back from the edge, the edge, the edge. Oh, I'm back from the edge, the edge, the edge. No, no, no. Maybe I should turn the tables, change the game. To live a life that's easy seems so lame. Remember me in history, I'll be that someone who kept finding their own way. Take my flame, keep it burning. Take my sword, I'll keep fighting. Keep the scars and all the years they never healed. Take my pain, I'll grab the wheel. Hey, I'm back from the edge, the edge, the edge. I'm back from the edge, the edge, the edge. Oh, I'm back from the edge, the edge, the edge. No, no, no. The edge.
Thank you so much for listening. I've been Sharika Sherrod. Have a good night and stay safe.